Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night. Time for another live Wicked Horror Show. And it wouldn't be a Wicked Horror Show if we didn't have a little glitch of some sort. So I'm Kevin, by the way. And of course, I'm joined by Tony Has Nine Fingers.
What is going on, people?
And it looks like our guest may be running a little bit late. So we're just going to talk about stuff until he joins us. Hopefully he can. Just let me know if you hear anything back from him. But either way, his name is, Marciel Delgado? Is that it? That's his name?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's a director, producer, and an actor.
He said he wasn't an actor. He said just producer, writer, director.
Oh, that's what it says on his IMDb. I was going for that, and I could have sworn he was in one. Could have sworn he was in. There was one that was like a film noir one, and I could have sworn he was in it. I could be completely wrong. Could have been someone else, but whatevs. Tell his IMDb to stop lying to me. But either way, he producer director of a bunch of shorts on the YouTube, and it's his YouTube channel is what's it called? I forget.
Let me actually get the actual name.
Something mostly geek or something.
Yeah, I don't want to.
But the link is in our show note, like the show description and everything, and I highly recommend it. Very, very good quality shorts. And you'd be surprised how quickly he can set the mood for some suspense in a very short amount of time. So he knows his stuff for sure.
Pretty much geek.
Yeah,
is
pretty
the
much
YouTube
geek
channel.
Yep. And like I said, the link is in the description and everything, so you can always check it out there. But while we're waiting for him, excuse me, has there been anything going on with you, Tony? Anything since? Oh, actually, never mind. He's here. There he is.
Hey,
how's it going?
How you doing?
Good. Sorry about I guess Safari doesn't work with this, so I had to
Oh yeah. Safari stinks. I mean, Safari. I don't know. I mean, I have a Mac as well, and I've never used Safari because I just hate it. Like it's always been so slow for me. I'm using Edge now, and I don't really like it. I think I might go back to Firefox.
Oh man, is that the new rebooted Internet Explorer thing that they have?
It is. I was totally against Internet Explorer forever, and I started using it for certain things at work, and I'm like, this is actually pretty awesome.
I mean, I think honestly, whatever works the best for it, as long as I don't have to deal with any pop-ups or not. I think that's why I went. When I jumped into the whole Apple, you can have my soul and just completely envelop me. I think I just jumped into the whole band right there.
Right. And that's the thing is I have a Mac, I have multiple Windows machines and everything. And it's like, I was using Chrome forever because it's so easy to share everything and whatever. But enough about that. We were just talking about your YouTube channel and how awesome your shorts are and like how quickly you're able to set a mood with with such a short amount of time. And so did you now one of the first questions, did you go to film school, or is this all are you self-taught, or like did you pay to get taught kind of deal?
Well, long story to that, it's got two little quick answers, yes and no. I'm completely self-taught when it comes to what my style is, what I have my general taste to be. I went to film school around, I think it was the winter of 2018. And the reason I went and did it was because a friend of mine who was one of my old cinematographers, he was just like, hey, I'm taking a production class, dude. I know you don't want to deal with this, but I honestly think they give you a lot of opportunity. Just come in, use their stuff, get out. And I'm like, sure, whatever. I'm not sure if you guys watched the first. It's called Dear Hearts and Gentle People. It's a black and white one, but that was like the first time that I ever kind of
film noir one.
Yes,
Yeah,
that one.
no, it was pretty dope. Like, yeah, it was pretty sick. I love film noir. Really?
That was the first time I had been on a set, first time directed anything, written anything. So that was like my thing. But I think everything since then, man, like I've had a lot of really influential, good people in my life. My mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, who were very just like, we're going to watch the Oscars every year. You're going to watch these things. We're going to put this in front of you and leave you alone with whether it be video games or any type of media. And then I think it just kind of like envelops itself. So I kind of like do what I don't want to be saying the most basic film bro thing, but you know, I kind of make movies for myself. And I feel like there's a lot of people who have that similar,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, you know, we talk to a lot of independent filmmakers, and you know, it's something where if you're making it for the money only, it's almost, you can almost tell, you know what I mean? Like you have to have some kind of connection. Like, you know, we've talked to directors and stuff that make some pretty awesome stuff on their own, but then they're like, oh, you have this new thing coming out. Yeah, don't even bother with that. We got paid to make that one so we could fund our next one. You know, like, you know, that's
I've heard that.
Yeah, but it's I mean, I mean, the stuff is pretty great, and like I said, you're able to really get you to a spot fairly quickly, and there's something to be said for that. You know, it's something where that's not an easy thing to do. You know, I don't think, anyways, but I never made a movie. Yeah, but so I apologize for listing as actor. That's what it said on your IMDb. So,
dude, you're totally fine. I still am trying to figure out not being an old man about it, where I'm like, how do I work this thing? But like IMDb Pro, I love them. They're a great thing, but when you go to that account and that website, it's very it reminds me of like the early days of the internet, where I'm just like, wait, I'm not an actor, but I've been in a couple things, so it's
right.
Good, dude. You're good.
So were you in the black and white one?
Yes, that was not my choice. I will never be an actor on my own. But you know, it was a indie film student production, so someone just had another responsibility. I think it was either work or something like that. And so, like the day of when we were going to shoot it, he's like, "I can't do it, dude," and I got to do this. And I'm like, "Well, fuck! Like the show needs to go on." So, yeah, I figured I could do it, but I will never do it as much as I can, unless it's voice acting. That is no issue.
Voice. It's, you know, you do have a good voice for voiceover work and stuff like that. Have you thought about getting into that much?
That was my actual original line of like plan for. I went for radio broadcasting, and I have a certificate with that. That was the idea, and once I finished college, for that little time in my life, I was like, all right, let's go work a couple radio stations. And then I just kind of kept on hitting this little like ceiling where it's like, hey, I think we should kind of like tap into a new audience. We're kind of like very niche right here. I think if we work in pop culture, entertainment, things like that, I think we can really, they're like, don't give a fuck, bro. Sorry, not my thing. And so I felt like instead of kind of trying to change the room, I should kind of go to the drawing board and figure it out. But since then, I kind of just did my own podcast with my own and every one of my friends. We kind of did our own thing. I know you guys are doing something similar as well. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot much more freedom that podcasting has, and especially now, in comparison to like when I was growing, when I was in high school or something like that. I remember it was like, you weren't cool to have a podcast, or like, what are you listening to, a podcast? What is that?
I don't even want to talk about how old I was when podcasts first started, because I was well out of high school. I'm an elderly gentleman, you see. No, but I mean, to be honest with you, I listened to podcasts probably more than I was ever listening to the radio. And when I was listening to the radio, a lot of times I was listening to like talk radio stuff. I was like listening to things like Opie and Anthony and like Howard Stern, stuff like that.
Dr. Drew.
Yeah, stuff like that. And even now I still watch Dr. Drew because he's on Tom Segura has his podcast network, and you know, I watch his show. There was a guest that was on this show years ago. I'm forgetting her name, but she now has a show on that network as well. And we were friends for a while. I messaged her.
Wasn't
I'm like,
it Lauren Compton?
yes, Lauren Compton. She was on here for promoting a movie.
Killer Donuts, Attack of the Killer Donuts.
There you go. And I was like, hey, congrats on the thing. And then like, hey, the next thing you know, we're not friends anymore. And then whatever. I'm like, okay, sorry, see how it is. But whatever. I still wish her luck. I mean, she doesn't really need it. She's on Top Segura's podcast network. She's good. But yeah, I mean, podcasts have really taken over. The only thing is that it's so hard to stand out.
Exactly. It's one of those things where I look back on those early days where it's kind of like YouTube. I used to do YouTube back when I was like 14 or 15. Those things are deleted now. But you're just a kid given trying to work with Sony Vegas and trying to be like, I'm gonna do a review of everything that I'm doing because I'm a nerd and I don't really do anything. And now there's a million of those kids out there that have seen and were watching at that time period. So it's just like, how do you really break the mold and work within the algorithm and stuff like that? Because I feel like everyone and their mom has a podcast now, which is awesome. But
it is awesome. It gives people like an opportunity to just speak their mind, whether or not they have a billion listeners. And some shows will just blow up, and that's awesome. Like I'm not one of those super competitive guys. Like I've never been that way. So I play music as well, and even when I was playing in clubs back in the day, I was never super competitive. Like if someone won something, or if they they got picked up by a small label or whatever, I was always super happy for them and stuff. Yeah, I wasn't like, why not me? I'm like, because obviously I didn't meet what was needed. That's why. But and just real quick, Sergio's in the chat room, wants to say hi. But anyways, let's go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what do you play?
I play bass.
Oh, sick. Nice.
Yeah, I've been playing for a very long time. I started playing when I was in 6th grade. I don't even. How old are you when you're in 6th grade? Anyone know?
6th grade is probably like 11, 12, maybe.
So if I was 12, that means I've been playing for 36 years. I'm playing for a long time. I'm obviously not very quick at math, which is kind of scary because I work for a bank. But yeah, I've been playing a long time, and ups and downs, good moments, bad moments, whatever. But it's something I still do. I don't play out anymore because I don't want to be the old guy in a club, because I was the guy making fun of the old guys in the club back in the day. That would be me. Like, look at this guy.
Karma from when we were younger and we're talking shit comes back. And it's just it's full circle.
Yeah, exactly. But whatever, it is what it is. I will. I'm not saying I will never play out again, but I will. At some point when it's feasible, I guess. But yeah. So, was this your first creative outlet? Was filmmaking, or you said that you were thinking about getting into the voiceover stuff, so you went into to radio and stuff like that? But was this is this where all your creativity started? Was with this whole venture?
I think in the back of my head, since I was a child, it was always what I wanted to do. That was the dream. I was archaeologist, paleontologist. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Then filmmaker and stuff like that. So, but if you don't really have the tools or the mommy or daddy or uncle that can kind of give you hey, here's how this is done, here's a production. I'm I didn't know any of that stuff. So that wasn't really within my reach of what I wanted to do. So it landed up being writing. Honestly, was my first creative outlet. There's a lot of time and stories, old things that were just for me and my own audience. With a few friends, or just myself, just sitting with pen and paper, then eventually transitioning over to a laptop with Word and just world building. Stories, action, comic books, horror, literally just playing with whatever influences me, and then just, using the imagination and theater of the mind to kind of play around with it. So it's however I can utilize the writing aspect into, whether it be structuring a show, writing a script for my voice, or a whole production of a film or something like that. I think that was the main plateau of it all.
Yeah. So I just because I'm a fan of this stuff too, but have you ever thought of doing like character voices? Like, is that because I follow particular character actors, like voiceover actors, just because of who they are, and I don't necessarily like the show, but I'm like, if Billy West is in it, I'm gonna check it out because I love Billy West. There's certain people I'll follow around just because they are who they are. I don't know, and I usually be like, hey, that's this guy, or hey, that's this guy, and my wife be like, how do you know? I'm like, it just is. Wait for the credits, and then it'll be there.
And that's a crazy thing how most people don't know, like probably like some of the biggest shows and whatever, like give 100 shows and it's probably like 5 different voice actors doing like 20 different voices and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of like the Clone Wars and what I forgot his name, something Baker. He's like the guy that voices all the clones, and he always does like. There's such a differentiation between like different variations of the same guy. I think that's something where I'm like, when I was training and trying to learn on it, I was just always, the more I work on something, I can play it a little bit into a Russian accent or do a little some. It's like nothing too crazy, but like it's the tools are there. I just need to kind of like sit, study, and just kind of like work into it. But I'm a huge fan of like yourself, of Billy West, Richard Horvitz, a lot of really just like talented like actors that have like,
and then there's some voice actors that they don't even try to change their voice. It's just their voice. Like there's a Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall. He's just Kevin McDonald. Like all of his voices are just his voice. And he's just got such a strange voice. It just works. Little side note, I may be meeting him this weekend.
Fuck yeah.
I'm super excited for, because him and Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall are going to be at a con in my area. And I've already met Dave Foley and embarrassed myself completely in front of him. So I'm looking to do the same thing around Kevin McDonald. And he'll be around too with Dave Foley. I don't know.
He forgot about it. Don't.
I'll remind him. No, I'll remind him. I'll play the video. It's almost like I think it's funny, like how there's very few times I get kind of starstruck, and it's been a long time since I had, but I did with him for sure, because that was such a huge deal in my life when I was a kid. Well, high school. I wasn't really a kid, but anyways.
Now with I was gonna say, now with all this stuff like voice overs or like radio and stuff and writing, did you always have like, you said you were watching like the Oscars and stuff, so was horror like a big inspiration for you, or was it like other genres?
You didn't really see horror in the Oscars.
Yeah.
No, you don't. I think unless like it's for like practical effects or something like that, it's always this like, we are aware of you in the room, but you're the black sheep in the family. So let's kind of like grab your stuffing and potatoes and go back to the other room. And like I feel like with what my plans with horror was, I loved Goosebumps. I loved Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Read those way before I should have been reading them, but I mean, it's kind of the nature of it. And they never scared me as much. There was a few of them that really did like kind of like affect me, but it was more of like the creepy gothic side of things. So other genres were more so my forte. I honestly didn't expect that horror would really have this chokehold on me as it has over the past like 6 or 7 years now. But originally, dramas, coming of age, stories like that were more so like what I wanted to tell. More action, science fiction was more as well what I wanted to go. And those are still like things that I'm like planning down the line to do, but they require a lot of money.
I was going to say, some science fiction, just the props alone are ridiculous. Like just to make it look like it's depending on what kind of science fiction you're trying to do. Like, it is pretty insane. Like I respect pretty much every genre and subgenre of movie out there. But the one good thing about horror, I mean, and that being said too, you shouldn't force what you're doing. It's something that should kind of come natural. If you're writing horror and you're making horror, that's what you want to make, then by all means. But if it's like the good thing with horror is there's a very, very awesome fan base with horror. And even though some people are very opinionated, there's a lot of people that are willing to give everything a shot. Whether or not they'll like it is another story, but at least they'll watch.
It's such a rabid.
Oh, yeah, but at the same time too, like you have people that will absolutely adore like movies that are just schlock. Like I love movies that are schlock too. I wouldn't say that are my favorite movies, but and then they're like,
has such a huge fan base. It's like you like that genre, you like that sub, and we were talking about subgenres. Sci-fi is a little subgenre of horror. You could have a sci-fi horror. You could have, with horror, you could have even an action horror. Look at like a Bone Tomahawk or something like that, where it's like a little bit of everything. So,
yeah, we just had Michael Pare on last week for a movie. He was in Bone Tomahawk, and
dude, hell yeah,
that was another guy that he was a big part of my growing up. Watched one of his movies a lot when I was a child, and it just made me feel very old talking about it. But I'm sure it made him feel even older. It's that's the thing is that there's so many like good ideas out there, and it's just a matter of getting the right eyes on it. And it's tough, but when you're making quality stuff like you're making, it's bound to happen. You won a bunch of awards for Twilight Time, right?
Yes, we won. So we won 2 awards. We were nominated for about 6, and we won 2 of them. We went to Haunted House Fear Fest out in New York around early October. I was first time in the city, first time on the East Coast. I fell in love with it automatically, and I just the minute I was like walking around first day, I'm like, dude, I get it.
Where are you at?
Yeah,
are you at California?
I'm based out in California. Yeah, just more on the Southern California side of things, like close to like the LA area, Orange County. Okay. But yeah, it was tonally, it was like a whiplash as far as like the way that they have all of their cities structured and the way that everything's kind of just this lived in architecture. Huge amount of history there. But back to the
go the other award. You won 2 awards. So there was that one, and what was the other one?
It was best paranormal short, and it was best special effects. We got we won those awards for, which I didn't know that we were even nominated for the second one. So that kind of, they threw that one in as a little surprise. So that was super cool. Same thing with this weekend we were nominated for it was like best micro short, thriller, and practical effects. I think most of them were kind of like tackling the practical of the special effects that we kind of did with that one.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is it's, especially with lower budget shorts and stuff like that, they're really, a lot of them are doing it for zero money, it's something that they just use what they have. And sometimes they don't have all the goods. So they're just using what they can. And you're almost more forgiving when you see some stuff like that, because it's like, these guys are trying, they're still new at it, but looking at your stuff, it was like, all right, he's been doing this for a while for sure. Have you thought about doing a feature length?
So I mean, this question's been asked a couple times, and I want to say outright no, because that wasn't the plan for this. But after being asked it, I'm like, okay, well, like, if it were to happen, if this were to exist as a thing, like, there is a extensive story that has been set up and that it's leading to. So yeah, I don't want to say no, but it's down the line. There's more leading towards like a little bit of like a interconnected anthology. I think that's kind of how I would play with it. I think I love Trick or Treat. I love
they're always fun
stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing too is I think because before it was just like Creepshow, where you had those anthology films, but over the last like 10, 15 years, you have like the ABCs of Death, you have Trick or Treat, you have a lot of these Shudder ones where it's like
Tales of Halloween,
Tales of Halloween, even like they have the Christmas anthology, Christmas horror anthology or whatever. RLJ put one of them put it out, but the thing is with anthology films, I think I like them a little bit more, because sometimes if you watch a movie and you're in the middle of it and you just don't feel it, then the whole movie's ruined for you. But with anthology films, it has, all these different shorts where maybe you might not like one or two, but then you like the rest of them, where it switches up the whole movie here and there, so it's not that stagnant style. So me myself, when I see anthology films, I think I like them a little bit more because it's like, okay, maybe I didn't like this piece of this movie, but I like the rest of it, kind of deal.
Yeah, it's like a nice little sampler. You can get some wings, you can get some mozzie sticks, and then someone else can have all the carrots and the celery.
Get diabetes, and then you can go over here. No, it's sometimes like I think it may have been a Christmas one that we had talked about. That my favorite part of the whole thing was the wraparound story. Like the other stories were good, but the wraparound story is what sold it for me. So it's like I'm gonna watch it again just for the wraparound story. Like it's there's different parts and like different directors for each part. I think is really cool. That's why like with ABCs of Death, there's a lot in there that it's just not great. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of those shorts that are just not fantastic, but the ones that are great. So it's worth it. And there's so many of them. They're all very short. So even I have to admit, I'm a big Ty West guy. His was not good. I didn't like his in the first one, but I love Ty West. I think it was Emma's for Miscarriage, I think is what it was. And it was very just thrown together. But all of his other things I love. I was kind of disappointed about that.
I love Ty West stuff.
Same.
Pearl X. Yeah.
House of the Devil for me is what sold it. House of the Devil, and Innkeepers. Even though Innkeepers gets a lot of hate, I really enjoy Innkeepers, because that inn is in my area, the Yankee Peddler, and because I'm in Mass, but but even still, that there was so much tension in that movie. And people are like, oh, whatever, it wasn't scary. I'm like, you just weren't paying attention. Like that's what it was. You were on your phone the whole time. But I don't know. So you said you enjoyed New York. Have you ever thought about relocating or anything? Because I'm going to tell you right now, you probably shouldn't.
Is that where you guys are based out?
No, he's out of New Jersey. I'm out of Mass, but it's depends on if you're looking to make films. I mean, to go to school in New York is probably good, but it's just like there's a few things that it's pretty drenched in, and that's stand-up comics and filmmakers, and a lot of people that are just mixed in this big pile. You know what I mean? And it's hard to stand out.
I think that at some point in my life I will make the move, but I think that will be. And probably at that point where I'm more established and I'm kind of like, all right, we already have these deadlines. We already have these set dates for what we're going to do it. And I can live in New York, go over here and kind of moving forth wherever I want to. Yeah. Do I want to move there now? No. But
you don't want to move here in the winter. You should have the option of going anywhere else.
No, I freeze and shake like a chihuahua in California right now. Like we have nothing amount of coldness, but it's California. It's kind of how we are. We'll complain when it's cold.
It's 36 outside right now at my house, but it'll be worse. I mean, I'm freezing too, but whatever. I'll get used to it eventually.
Now,
get killed with snow.
with the short, like you said, you attribute everyone in your life to helping out and starting your stuff. With the two actresses in there, did you know them? Was there like a casting period, or like how did you cast them?
So for the two actresses, my two actors in the film, Erica, I have been friends with for nearly a decade now at this point. She is one of the most talented actors that I've ever met in my life, as far as who I have to work with, and just the amount of like her work ethic is set the standard of kind of who I have to work with from here on out. So it was just more so I wrote this with her in mind. Like the last one that I did was,
right? She's in the black and white one as well.
Yes, she's plays Ava. She's the femme fatale. And for this one, I was like, listen, I want you to do no dialogue whatsoever in the last one that we do. And then like, I wouldn't trust any actor to kind of work with something. So like you can easily have anyone mess that idea up, because you have to have very expressive eyes, very expressive emotes. And I hang out with her all the time. And so I just kind of like know how she is. So I was like, you can lift this mountain of like an easy task, which would be kind of hard for someone else. But for Lauren, no, this is the first time I had to work with her. I had a friend recommend me what we were originally going to plan on doing. Erica was supposed to be acting amongst herself. So the idea initially was to have you wake up, you go get some, you see a little figure, you go get something to drink, you come back and you're staring at yourself in your own bed. And the only difficulty with that when it came to a technical side of things is that prosthetic was a 4.5 to 5 hour process to get done. And when you're working with another actor, an actor can only work best when they're working with another actor to kind of act against. So that's where Lauren came in. This was her first short film and just first acting gig in about like for some time, but she had the most amount of confidence to do it and to go through the process of the makeup and to sit there, trial and error of like, all right, we don't like this version of it. We're going to kind of do a little bit more of a conceptual art thing. And she has a dancing background, which that played into it because she couldn't see, she couldn't speak, but easiest amount of direction to give to her. And she did a phenomenal job. Both of them did amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I do have one question about one of the sets or one of the things in one of the sets. Whose refrigerator was that?
That was my technically refrigerator. That was did you think it was like the actual fridge?
No, I was just like, all right, who's into pickled eggs and who's into that like pepper relishy kind of sriracha stuff. I didn't know if that was really stuff. Yeah. I was like, pickled eggs.
Yeah, I wanted to have something that was just automatically puts you in this like very uncomfortable state that you're just like, what the fuck is that shit? Like, and this person is very unwell, and we need some items in her fridge to kind of showcase that.
Yeah, pickled eggs.
That was actually. I mean, I like it. It's great bar food, but like you're gonna have that, you know, it's a little rancid. That was actually a mini fridge that we sawed the back off.
Oh, nice.
And we then just kind of like inserted the black magic in there.
Nice. So you use a black magic. Is it now? Do you rent gear or do you own gear?
I do not own gear. I rent. My cinematographer for the last one, Twilight Time, was Michael Goldfarb. He owned a black magic, but he did rent out the lenses, which we work with some Kawa anamorphic lenses. There's these vintage lenses from the, I think, late 70s, if not early 80s. So they give a little bit of a distortion and like a weird aesthetic to it. Some of the images at the end.
Oh, it looks good. It looks like film. It didn't. I mean, that's the thing. Is you see a lot of like for real. Like I keep bringing it up, but you see a lot of like lower budget independent stuff shooting on great cameras, but they look like too clear almost. It's like it doesn't look like film. You have to throw some grain in there or something, like something off with the lighting or what. I don't know what it is because I don't make movies.
I had some really good cinematographers, brother. The other cinematographer, the other like the little micro shorts that took place before that, that was he owns all of his gear. His name's Andrew Sanchez. He's very phenomenally talented cinematographer. I'm like, hey, I wanted you to do this, this, and this, and just automatically whipped it up and just made it work with this. I'm not a camera guy myself, so I don't really know unless it's mentioned me, but it's a Sony camera that they shot that new film The Creator on. Okay. The thing about that camera is that it is a readily available camera. It's still expensive, but in comparison to some of like the Alexas or your Reds or things like that, it's kind of on the technically lower side, but it can do a lot. And so it's kind of more so into the goes to the realm of like, it's not necessarily the tools itself, it's the person behind the tools. Oh, totally. So I think he did a good job with that. I'm very proud of him for that. Oh no,
they all of them look great. So it's that's pretty big. And I agree with you 100% because I have friends that are directors that have extremely expensive cameras and they don't know how to use them. And they just like you would get better results using my cell phone. It's like for real. Like it's like you have a camera that costs thousands of dollars, and you have to record straight to hard drives because it takes so much. And it's like it just looks like you're on like a handy cam from back in like the early 2000s. It's crazy. Using onboard audio, stuff like that. It's like, what? And I'm not going to name names, but it's this person has movies available to buy in Walmart, and that's how he records.
You know, I know a few people myself that are.
All right, we'll have to talk after. See if
we'll post story that we can.
Yeah, we have to maybe because this person also lives in the LA area, so I wonder if you know him. Yeah, but so I don't know. So what do you have in the works? Like, do you have anything planned? Like I mean, you sound like a busy dude. You got other stuff going on, but do you have any scripts like that you're working on or any projects?
Yeah, well, right now, honestly, I'm taking this as like a nice little break. In the meantime, I was originally going to be doing like jumping right into the next one, but I feel like that would be a disservice to anyone that would be attached to my project to just kind of jump in without taking a breather and relaxing. So right now, we're doing the nice little holiday hibernation. But after that, coming, I want to say maybe January, February, I do have my next short, which is a series that I've been working on for a little over a decade now at this point. And it's completely the opposite of horror. It is more of a drama, slice of life story that is a little bit of a conversation on what it's like to be like live in your like mid-20s and deal with that, but also more so on the what's it like to be from a second, third generation Latino perspective, and what that can kind of go into the aspects of like, am I seen within my culture versus am I seen within the greater society? And I think there's a lot of stories and beautiful ideas that are coming out of Hollywood right now, but that's one that I feel needs to be spoken about.
Totally.
Which is we're casting for that one right now, and I have two very talented teams of actors and actresses that are waiting for this one right there.
That's awesome. No, it sounds great. And I'm just so you know, when it happens, you know, I followed both the whatchamacallit, the production company and stuff, and you on Instagram. So that way, when it comes out, I'll definitely take a look, because like I said, I'm a fan of everything. Like there's a lot of I like a lot of dramas. I like a lot of even though I'm not a huge action guy, I do like a lot of action movies. But in general, I don't seek them out. But I'm willing to give anything a chance, you know. And it can't be all horror, you know. It's
no,
man will go crazy if that's all you watch is horror. Although there's some stuff that I've been really putting off that I really need to watch. The director that did that movie, Terrified. I forget the name of the new one. It's
Terrified or Terrifier?
Terrified.
I don't think I've seen that one. Which one is that?
He's not from this country. What country is he from? It's all in
Spain.
Maybe Spain. He has a new one, The Evil Within, I think is that what it's called?
Oh, like what Evil Lurks or something like that. That was yes. I'm so pissed that I missed out on that. Some of like my coworkers at this coffee shop I work at, they were both horror fans, and he was like, right when I was in the midst of doing all this, he was like, dude, when Evil Lurks, lurks, I think that's what it is. He was just glowing with satisfaction of how much he loved that movie, and I feel like I'm like, if it was like the Barbarian of this year, or it's just, you can't miss this thing. So that's right on my list.
It's not everywhere because it's not in English. Like, so of course, because people are lazy and they don't want to read at the movie theater. So it's on Shudder. If you have access to Shudder or AMC Plus, it's on there. I have Shudder. I just been putting it off because I know eventually another show that I'm on. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a show about it, and I like to watch things as closely to the show as possible so I don't forget stuff. But the first movie that I knew of his was called Terrified. Came out a few years prior, and it's also on Shudder. And it was, I love it. It is a crazy movie, and he could never pull it off as an American movie ever. Like during the whole movie, there's a dead little boy sitting at a table just rotting throughout the movie. That wouldn't fly in the U.S. It wouldn't fly.
No, but I love that shit. It's honestly, like it really rings to like more of like a Gaspar Noé kind of thing, where it's just like he does just weird choices like that is either going to provoke you, or you're just gonna. It's like, are you gonna stick around or you not? I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's up to me.
And that's the thing is, it's usually a lot of the other countries that come up with the really cool ideas, and then America just does a watered down version of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's because America has no freaking. I mean, for the most part, mainstream America has no more creative ideas. That's why you gotta look for.
Not to diss everyone, but I agree. Like, it's everything's either like a rehash of something or a sequel. And it's just like, all right, what are awesome ideas that are out there that no one's paying attention to? Like, what about the fact that with Terrifier 2, it knocked Top Gun out of the #1 spot? Like, how about that? Are they going to be nominated for an Oscar? I doubt it. They should be, but then they won't be. But it's and we're friends with those guys as well, and they're nothing but great dudes, so they deserve it.
Damien Leone's amazing.
Yes,
I've been a huge fan of his stuff since I'm not gonna say I was right out of the back, but like right when it got announced, I remember I was just like, the images of like the art is one of the best horror icons that have come out in about a couple years. That just kind of looks.
I think he's like the way that it's looking. In my opinion, he's the generation that's going to be replacing the Freddys and Jasons and stuff like that. Like as far as an icon, you have to think like, so the last con that David Howard Thornton was at in my area, the line was out of the building to meet him, and there was people that paid for photo ops and everything that didn't get it because there was no time left in the day. And it was like, that's huge. The last time I saw that was years ago, and it was with Bruce Campbell. So there's something to be said for that. This dude was a waiter in New York a couple of years ago.
That's the thing, man. I think that's why I love this community. Horror fans are easily one of the most loyal and diehard when it comes to their enthusiasm and their passion for it. So they're like right next to comic book fans, but I like my horror fans more.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I like them both. I like them both because I think they're very similar. Like they're very, very passionate about what they like. And if something goes the wrong way, you're going to hear about it, like comic books, like, why did you do that to this? And then, whatever. But
there's too many gatekeepers.
Michael Myers mask was
different. Were you saying, Tony?
Now I was saying the problem sometimes too lies is they're so passionate that sometimes they're too much of gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be in any fandom, anything around. But the thing is, horror fans are definitely very loyal, and they'll stick to their,
I'm more worried. I'm more worried about things because there's been some franchises that I've been fans of that have completely lost me after certain sequels or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, you ruined it for me. So I'm always afraid. I was actually pretty scared when Terrifier 2 was announced. I'm like, oh no, are they going to ruin this? Like, I hope they don't. And they didn't. But in my mind, I'm like, oh no, is this going to be it? But I'm glad to see it's not it. The one that's coming out next year is going to be a Christmas themed one, which is even cooler. That's sick.
You can add it to the rotation of Krampus and the Gremlins now in Terrifier 3.
Yeah. There's a few things in there. Krampus. What's it? A Christmas Horror Story.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, the one where there's like a jacked Santa Claus, and he's just like fighting Krampus with like chains and stuff. It's crazy.
I must say one of the mainstream movies that is now in my watch list that I did not expect, Violent Night. Violent Night was a fun movie, I must say.
I never watched it. I think it's because it was
that was the one with David Harbour.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually I did not expect to like it as much as I liked it. And then I don't know, mainstream. I don't like to say that I'm fully against mainstream nowadays, but I'm looking.
It takes a lot
when everybody.
I'm right there with you, dude. Anytime something that comes out of contemporary cinema is just like one that really struck me that I wasn't expecting to enjoy was Smile.
I love Smile.
I loved it,
for
but there
a couple of reasons. Like I love that short, and that's another thing too, because we've had a couple people that have directed pretty awesome shorts that have been made into full-length features, and they haven't really worked out. Thankfully, Smile did. And Sosie Bacon, who played the main character, I'm a fan of her just in general. I think she's wicked funny. So I was happy to see that she was the lead in a big movie that was in theaters, and they're supposed to be coming out with a sequel. I don't know how that'll work, but I'll still check it out. But yeah, that one was great. I agree. But yeah, there's it's tough. It is really tough. Most of the time I go to the mainstream theaters is because my dad wants to go see something. So I'll drive out and we'll go to the theater. And most of the time it's a stinker. Like went to see that the last voyage of the Demeter or whatever it's called, the story about the
Oh yeah.
I
saw
didn't
that.
hate it. I didn't hate it, but there was enough that I didn't like about it where people were like, "Oh, what'd you think?" I'm like the effects were not great. Like they were different, like shot by shot. Like the vampire looked one way in one shot, then it would pan over this way, and he would look like a different vampire altogether. Meanwhile, it was the same vampire. One of them he looked like a bat, and the other one he looked like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. I'm like, doesn't make any sense.
I felt like that one. It's the problem with that I've seen, and I've seen this in the pipeline. Whether you're in like a on set and you're seeing how it get like there'll be an original idea to have it one way, and then someone will come and be like, hey, change it this way, and then that's how you get the muddy little mess like that. I liked aspects of that movie, but I also it was something about where I'm like, some things work, some things didn't work, and at the end of the day I kind of forget that I watched it. But
well, as a fan of the classic Universal monster stuff, I'm like, just leave it alone. You keep trying to reboot these things and it's not going to work. But with that one, it was actually I think it may have been on That Strange Show, which is another show that I do. Angel had actually done some research, and I guess that movie was like in production for over 20 years. Like there was multiple directors that were signed on and like dumped, and then it was multiple casts that were signed on and then dumped, and it took forever. And the people that did the actual visual effects for that movie never talked to the director at all. So they just like did what they did, and that was it. Then it got released in theaters. But my dad wants to go see that Thanksgiving movie, and I don't know if I want to.
I heard actually it's very gory.
Really?
Yeah. It's a throwback to like the mid 2000s, like kind of like gory, like horror at that point, where it's just like kind of like gore porn a little bit, but
over the top. Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it when it's on. Like I don't know. I'm very wary now where I watch certain things, but like I don't know.
Yeah. I hear you, because it's almost like, even though in my mind it's probably not this case, but in my mind, like doing on demand is almost like, in my mind, more is going towards the actual people that made the movie than it would be if you were buying a movie ticket, but it's probably not. It's probably still the same, but whatever. I don't know. There's no way to actually pay these people that are actually making the movies. Unfortunately,
I mean, we had a whole strike just because of that, all that shit right now.
Yeah, and it's over though, right? It's over now.
Oh, yeah,
over. Yeah.
I've heard a couple. I've heard like it's over for the moment. I think they're still doing some. Like, they haven't gotten everyone's vote yet right now. But so the writers are good, the directors are good, but the SAG, they've there's been rumblings.
Oh, really? Oh, that's no good. That's no good.
It has a lot to do with the AI. There's something in the script of what the agreement was. The AI section is very vague, which it's kind of like, you're holding out that much enough at this point. Might as well keep fighting till you make sure that you get that everything is done.
Right. So, and that whole idea is ridiculous to me. I can understand, just like with some directors use like digital manipulation to assist in a movie, like, as far as adding blood or whatever. And I hate to say it, but even like in the reissues of the Star Wars original anthology, or it's where they changed things, or even in ET where they took the guns out of the hands and everyone was just running around with walkie-talkies. Make no sense. But that they're just going to be like, all right, well, we don't have to hire any actors anymore. So it's just ridiculous. What's the point? Like, everyone's going to be making independent movies at that point, because I don't know. I would rather watch a person than watch like a cutscene from a video game on screen. But
we know the difference at this point. I mean, whether it be me or you or whoever it was, you will know when it's something that's artificial versus not. And I think we're at a point where this is just kind of an assault on art, and we kind of need to kind of bunker down and fight it.
Oh, totally.
There are uses for artificial technology. I mean, anyone that's used Adobe or any type of like editing software, whenever a camera is shaky, you just kind of put that in there, and it's an assist. That's a nice little thing that does not override anyone's intention, anyone's expression, but these are like, we're gonna just steal your soul and utilize it and repurpose it however we want. And I think that's a variation of
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's something we could write about, and we have written about. People have written about for years, but it's now here. So
all it's going to be is I mean, I think the only reason it's happening is because I think Hollywood is just looking to make as much profit as possible, and if they don't have to pay the actors, then that's more profit for them.
We'll pay you once and use your likeness for every movie that we have so far.
Yeah. Be a big action movie coming out with Arnold Schwarzenegger and like actors from like the 1920s and like all these other people. It's just going to be like Expendables, but with like Clark Gable is going to be in it this time. I don't know, but anyways, it's almost time to wrap up actually. So we're just talking to shit a bunch. Jeez. So
now one thing I must ask is because of Twilight Time, it is a short. You were talking about doing like a short film come February. Is it your writing style that makes it like keeps your movie short, or how does it like? Do you want to eventually make a full length, or because I know a bunch of people that like to do just shorts, keep it that way, or turn it into like even like a TV show, like a small sitcom. Like how does your writing go?
Well, no. So the idea for this one, right after I did that black and white one, funny enough, noir and old film like that was not at that point when I was like 23. Was not my style. I did it kind of as an exercise. And so when I was getting a lot of compliments for that, I was like, cool, but this doesn't really identify with myself as, as an artist or as someone that wants to make something as a writer. So I wanted to make a horror. Now that one that I made and I designed was more so like this 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I kept on expanding because it was like this, almost like Alice in Wonderland through the desert, where there's different stop points and different like flashbacks. I'm like, okay, let's pause. Let's dissect this thing into different little pieces and then kind of like lead up to that instead of like having little stops. Twilight Time landed up happening when I had this was right before COVID. I had sleep paralysis for a couple of hours every night, and I just decided to write it. It was supposed to be something quick, simple, that we can kind of like play around with the prosthetics and move on. But there are other long form stories that I'm wanting to tell that are shorts, but have the intention to be features. I definitely have a feature that's going to be a horror and a feature that's going to be a sci-fi that's right around the corner that I'm still trying to work on the treatments for right now. But they are there. There are little breadcrumbs of Easter eggs throughout this, and then the micro series, which is like the hours episodes that are before that. And yeah, there's a bigger world that's planning around there. But yeah,
nice.
Well, that's good. I mean, like I said, to whoever's watching now and whoever's listening next week, you don't know it's next week, but we recorded this the week before. This is another reason why you should be watching the live show, because you can interact and do stuff. It's weird. We have completely separated people. Like there's people that have listened to the show for a long time and never watched it, and vice versa. And whatever. But yeah, check out the show notes and you'll see the link. And you can go check out his stuff or your production company stuff. And just like the quality of it is just pretty high. So I would recommend it for sure. And
thank you.
So speaking of that, if you want to just name off your like the YouTube channel and like where people can follow you for more information and stuff.
Yes, of course. My YouTube channel is Pretty Much Geek, and you can find all of the short films, whether it be Dear Hearts or the micro series of Twilight Time, which the whole thing is about 23 minutes back to back. And you can find us on there. Give us a subscribe, comments. We love the algorithm, but we also have to fight it, and that helps with anyone that is including their little comments, which I know you guys are aware of. You can also follow myself and the production company. Prophetic Fallacy is going to be my Instagram. And the same thing for Pretty Much Geek. It's the handle will be on like generally every platform right there. But
Yeah.
that means a lot. Thank you guys.
Yeah. It was awesome to have you. And Tony, what about yourself?
You can follow me on Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews. Anything's movie related, I do on there. Tony Has Nine Fingers on X, which I hardly ever use, but I keep on bringing it up for some reason. Tony Has Nine Fingers on TikTok, which is my fastest growing, which is, that's what I use the most, my the social media of choice. And then Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And of course, here on the Wicked Horror Show, pretty much every Tuesday, whether we have an awesome guest or it's just, horror movie talk or whatever. You can find us here. Kevin.
Just A Knuckle on Instagram. Besides doing the show with the lovely Tony Has Nine Fingers, I also do That Strange Show with Angel and Mandy and Ryan. That's on the Dorkening Podcast Network, like we are as well. And still doing the re-education of Nancy Ann Ritter. We just dropped the Nightmare on Elm Street episode on Sunday, so that was a fun one. She's talking about the similarities between Scream. She's an actress that was in Scream. She doesn't know anything about horror movies, so we're teaching her about like some iconic horror movies. So these are movies she's never seen. She had never seen Nightmare on Elm Street. She had never seen The Shining. Never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like she's
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. So the next movie we're watching, next one we're recording is The Hills Have Eyes, because she's a big Dee Wallace fan, but she's only seen her in E.T. I'm like, oh no, you need to see her in this. Plus it's Wes Craven. I'm like, yeah. It's a fun show. So that one just went out on Sunday. The one for Nightmare on Elm Street, and there was a lot more similarities. Because little side note, I've never watched Scream. How you like that? That's going to be one of the episodes that are going to make me watch Scream. Nice. But anyways, yeah,
little reverse card.
Yeah. Like what is it? What's that card in Uno? I forget.
Yeah, the reverse card.
Okay. I guess it's the reverse card then. But anyways, thanks for watching / listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.
Later.
Just stick around for a minute.